Hello?
My old friend.
My name. What?
It's nice to see you once again.
What's your color grading from the recent FilmRiot intros? Because they gorgeous. First of all, that's very kind of you to say. Secondly, those were actually from LUTs that we're working on with the same guy who made the LUTs that we promoted about a month back. We've been working with him specifically to create these very specific LUTs that we're going to be selling on our store very soon, probably the end of this month, beginning of August perhaps. But I've been using those, testing them in actual FilmRiot episodes, and I'm absolutely loving them. I really wish I would have had these when we did the action month. It would have made grading all that a million times easier, but it's coming out very, very soon. We're putting the finishing touches on it now, and I think you guys are going to go nuts for them. They are really, really
Are they
good.
going to go
nuts for LUTs?
For LUTs?
Did I get to it before you could?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did.
Oh, man.
Went out of my sales.
Mm-hmm.
Douche.
Hey, Riot Guy, Superfly Guy. Anyone get it? I get it.
I also get it.
Two of us. What should you do when you're in the middle of a shooting day and you realize what you're doing isn't going to work? Should you cut your losses, be honest with the cast and crew, or just keep shooting and toss it out later? This could mean one of two things. Either A, you're talking about the project that you have, you've realized that there's nothing you can do to salvage it. It's just terrible, and no matter what you do going forward, this is going to be a total train wreck. Or B, the plan you had was good and you wish you could do it, but everything's falling apart and there's no way you can finish it in that way. If it's that second one, that's basically every project I've ever been on. UFO, yeah, is probably one of the biggest examples of that. At some point, I realized the plan that I had in place, which I wish we could have shot, was not going to happen. And if I tried to follow it, the whole thing was going to fall apart and there's no way we're going to be able to finish it. And in the end, it was going to be a total train wreck. So I had to come up with a whole new plan, even rewrote tiny little bits and came up with a whole new way to shoot it that simplified it, but still got all the whys out of it. Again, it's the thing I'm always talking about, but don't be so concerned about the what, that it's a dolly shot. Okay, but why was it a dolly shot? And is there a different way, more simple way, that you could still get that same effect that you needed to tell your story? If it's the other one, that it's a total train wreck, everything's falling apart and there's nothing you can do to make this work, bring your creatives together, figure out why this isn't working. Until there was a scene that probably would have ruined the rest of the film if we would have left it as is, and me and my producer found it in that moment, sent everybody to lunch early, went into a corner for about an hour and a half and rewrote that moment. It was a simple fix, and it fixed what would probably ruin the second half of that short film. So I wouldn't, put my tail between my legs and run home. I would definitely muscle through it and finish it, because sometimes what you think is horrible and you don't have anything in the can that's usable, you get into post-production and you also find a way to finesse it and make it work. So I would definitely finish the race and see what you have. I wouldn't just cut losses. Hey fellas, big fan of your work. Quick question regarding the psychology of your camera angles. Is there some kind of method to determining the right angle of your shots to augment a certain feel? Thanks. There absolutely is, and if you watched the episode that we just put out, The Psychology of Music, it's pretty much the same idea. There's all these psychological ideas, these subconscious ideas, these things that we correlate with different ideas that you can push on your audience. I mean, even the understanding of film. Everybody has a film language now. We all understand how to watch a film. We all understand what certain angles mean, whether on a surface level or just subconsciously. We don't, we could never articulate that to anyone, but we have a feeling from it. And when we see it, we kind of know that it's Dutch, which means something's wrong. It's shaky behind a bush, which means somebody's watching them. We've been taught to understand these tropes inside of film, so you can play with those or you can turn them on their head. It's all about knowing what will make an audience feel a certain way, analyzing why you feel a certain way about something, and then following that for a specific result or doing the opposite of that for a specific result. It's all just about breaking down the ideas of why you feel how you feel, and then translating that into every avenue of your creation, from the camera to the music to the sound to the acting to the lighting, absolutely everything. What if I don't want to ask a question? Well, I just did, so I don't know, suck it. Last question, is slow motion too much of a cliche to be used seriously anymore? Absolutely not. I don't think there's any rule or anything to stick to when it comes to filmmaking, art, or entertainment in general. I mean, you have things like the 180-degree rule, which people who are new to the rule think that you have to stick hard and fast to, and that's just not the case. I break it all the time. People in Hollywood break it all the time. The idea is that you understand why it's a rule, why it's important to know, and then you can break it like crazy intelligently, and it won't, confuse your audience. And that goes with anything, any kind of cliche or anything that's become cheesy because of its overuse, like slow motion. I mean, slow motion became cheesy before in film, and then somebody else came along and used it in a different way and made it amazing again, and then all of a sudden everybody was using it in the way that this person used it, and now that's become overused, so it's starting to become slightly cliche in certain ways when not used just right. But you're gonna have somebody else that comes along and uses it in a different way, and it's gonna start it's all cyclical. And I don't really think slow motion as a tool is something that is specifically cheesy. I just think there are certain overused ways that slow motion has been appearing in film that can be cheesy when not used well. But again, just like anything else, it's all about how you use it within your story. Think of everything as a tool, and if it's not servicing your story in the exact right way to tell the story to the audience exactly how you want, then yeah, it could be damaging, but otherwise, go for it. If you're a budding filmmaker, entrepreneur, or innovator, Domain.com is the place to go when the next idea hits you and you want to make you a website or whatever it is. I know you've heard the list of available domain extension is growing, but you have the opportunity now to build your site and your brand in ways that was never before possible. Choose from a growing list of 400 plus domain name extensions like .com, .org, .design, and .club. And to give you some loving, they're giving you 25% off their already affordable prices when you get domain names, web hosting, and email. Just use the coupon code FilmRiot at Domain.com's checkout. And when you think domain names, think Domain.com. So that's it for today, which means it's time for my suggestion of the week. This one is B-roll of the BFG. You actually get glimpses of Spielberg directing his actors, which is amazing. And there are a ton of videos like this that are B-roll of all kinds of movies that you can find on YouTube. So my suggestion would be to go to YouTube and just comb the internets to find all of them, because there are some that have some real gems looking behind the scenes on how a film is created. But until next week, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.